Hey, it's Amber. Today's video is going to be my first Ask a Stylist. I'm going to be talking about cutting your own bangs and trimming your own bangs. Now, I think being able to trim your own bangs is very valuable. Not everybody has time to run into the salon every 3 to 4 weeks to get their bangs trimmed. I have no problem if my clients trim their own bangs if they know how to do it correctly, because I say everybody's got the right to see. So I do have clients that come in and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in so much trouble. I cut my bangs and they're horrible. If you do that, you will be in trouble. But if you can just trim them, it's not a big deal. I'm not someone that's so uptight that if somebody trims their own bangs that I'm going to have a heart attack over it. So let me show you the correct way to cut your bangs and to trim your bangs. So first of all, if you already have bangs, if you're going to trim them, you want to make sure you get all the pieces. The biggest thing you're going to find is you're going to have like little hairs that don't belong, or you're not going to get all the bangs in, and then you're going to have like bangs to here and bangs to here. So you want to make sure you get all the hair that's not in your bangs out of the way. Now, if you don't already have bangs, I'm going to show you kind of my rule of thumb of where I part the hair. So if you pull your hair up, you can see around the hairline, it kind of goes in here, kind of comes out here. Some people's goes deeper on the sides, some people's is more straight across, some people's bangs come up higher. I have a rather small forehead, so I have to adjust to that, versus if you have a larger forehead, you might have to do something a little bit differently. But what I like to do is I like to take all the hair that naturally falls forward. A couple of things not to do is you don't want to part off your hair like this. If you think you just want a little bang and you just cut a little piece like this and you cut it into a little fringe, what's going to happen is all this hair is going to fall over it, and you're going to constantly be pulling this hair back over it. The other thing you don't want to do is you do not want to get too far into the hairline, like over here, and think, oh, well, I want these huge swoopy bangs, and be like pulling all this hair over here. Because you do, what's going to happen is you're going to have a hole here, because we have this lovely thing called the ear, and if we're taking like all this hair into bangs and this hair into bangs, then it leaves us nothing for our side. And I have rather thin hair, so I have to keep all the hair there that I've got. So the correct way that I like to do it, and of course there's a million different ways to do everything, I always say that. This isn't like the end-all say-all of bang cutting. I'm sure, especially if you're professional, there's lots of different techniques. This is just the easiest, I think, when you're doing it yourself. Is I like to take all the hair that naturally falls forward, and I like to take it in more of a diamond shape, and with your part, have that be the highest part of the diamond. I part my hair on the side usually, so I'm going to have the highest part of my diamond there. If you part in the middle, you could do it here. If you part on this side, you could do it here. And that's just going to make the most natural shape. And the reason why we want to curve it is because it follows the round of the head. I mean, our heads are not flat, they're round. So if we make a round arc shape, that is going to be the best shape to follow. So once you get it parted off, and like I said, don't go into this hair right there. You want to leave that. You can go ahead and throw a bobby pin in to kind of keep that out of your way. And do the same on the other side. And now you've got your parting. You're not too far. Oh, I got a few little strays. Okay, so now that we have our parting, if you already have bangs and you want to make it a little thicker, you would just add a little bit more to the pie section up here, but not go into the sides anymore. And like I said, you want to make sure it's thick enough that the other hair is not going to fall forward, or it's going to be very annoying. So right now, I kind of have side bangs because I had straight across bangs and I was letting them grow out a little bit, but now I've decided I want them to be straight across again. Now, with just a rule of thumb of hair is whenever you pull things together, you're going to make the sides longer. So if I cut my bangs together like this, whenever I swoop them over, they're going to be longer. So just kind of know that right from the beginning. The other thing is if you're working with a lot of hair, you might want to cut it to a safe length. Like I say, just like chop it to the end of your nose. I mean, depending on your face shape, that's going to be a different length for everybody. But kind of get some of that hair off so you're not working with so much hair, and it'll make it a little bit easier. Then the next thing you want to do is, now if you're just trimming your bangs, then just go through and take your scissors vertical and just make little snips like this, taking off length just as much as you think you need. The reason why you do that is, one, that it blends, and when you're holding it up, it layers the bangs a little bit, and also you're not going to make any cut that's so drastic that it can't be fixed. If you start going in here like this and you cut too much, once you lay it down, that is going to be a flat line and you're going to go, oh my gosh. So the easiest way is just to go through and just take little notches out. Now, the more vertical you are, the less noticeable. The more kind of horizontal you go, the more you're really gonna notch those out. So just depending what type of bang you want. Now, if you're wanting an angle, just start at the corner and work towards that bottom. And when you let that go, this corner drops. It's gonna be a little bit longer and it's gonna be more of a side bang. Now, if you want it to be more of a straight across bang, cut it this way first, get the right length, and then go over to the sides and cut those. Now, a little bit about cowlicks. Everybody has cowlicks, so make sure that when you're parting your hair for bangs, it's going to be something that your hair will do. A lot of times I see people with really strong cowlicks hair and they want their bangs to start all the way over here and push over. Well, that'd be really cute, but will your hair really do that? So keep that in mind. If you know your hair is gonna part right here, part your bangs there and say, okay, this is where my bangs are gonna be. That's where they always go. That's what I have to work with. Another thing is if you have a lot of cowlicks, maybe bangs aren't the best choice for you, and you want to make sure if you do have a cowlick that you leave them longer than you think, because they're always going to puff up and have a little bit more volume when you do have a cowlick. So just a few tips to remember. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut these more straight across, and I'm just going to keep working in the same fashion, just taking little snips like this. And I'm actually just looking at my hair like this as I'm holding it out. Now I find the best place to do this is in the bathroom, so you can be over the sink. I actually just put a towel down so I can catch my mess. But somewhere with easy cleanup, preferably. Okay, you can see the bangs are starting to take shape, and you can see the corners are obviously longer. So I just keep going and keep kind of checking until I get to the length that I want. Now if you're dealing with a lot shorter bangs, obviously you're not going to be able to cut them holding them out like that. So what you're going to want to do is just get really close to a mirror and look into the mirror and cut them this way. So you can see like how this side lays a lot flatter than this side. So sometimes when you get your bangs cut, you're like, oh my gosh, she cut them crooked. Sometimes you might have cut them crooked, and sometimes your hair dries weird. And that's the honest truth. So, not covering for all the bad hairstylists out there, but sometimes, especially if you leave the salon wet, I always recheck the bangs before people leave, because you just really don't know what they're gonna look like until they're dry. That's why I'm not cutting these sopping wet. They were slightly damp. And you also don't wanna cut bangs when you have like, unless you're gonna keep a strong part in them. Like if my hair had dried like this and I'm trying to cut bangs, it's not going to work. So make sure your hair is fresh washed or it is dried in the way you want the bangs to lay. That way you'll get the best cut possible. Now you're seeing my bangs start to take shape. You can see this corner is still super long here. So really the trick is just cut a little and then check it. Cut a little and check it. That way you're not going to get yourself into trouble. And be careful when you're doing this. Don't poke yourself in the eyeball or cut your eyelashes. If you want, you can use a comb to kind of hold the hair in place. You can see my little cowlick starting to kind of push the hair over there. I wear mine straight across, but I tend to kind of push them to one side because that's kind of the way they like to go. Okay, my length is just about perfect. I still need to cut a little bit over this eye here because of the way my hair falls. But it's important to do that now that it's dry instead of when it's wet, because this is the way my hair is going to look. Okay. I like to leave mine a tiny bit longer. I don't like my bangs to be super short. So if you're good with that, you can just stay here. This is going to give you a textured full bang. Now if you want it to be really straight across, if you're brave, you can just go through and just whoosh, cut it straight. But I would really not suggest that unless you go to a professional and have them do it. And You know, if you're nervous about trimming your own bangs or cutting your own bangs, go to professional first, have them shape it. Then as you go home, like every week, just trim a tiny bit and then they'll always stay perfect. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna show you is if you've got a really thick spot, you can actually just layer your bangs a little bit. So as you pull them up, you're gonna see how, oh, you guys can't see that, hold on. Alrighty, so if you take a little section of your hair, and these are for like my more advanced cutters or people that do hair or people that trim their bangs a little more, you're gonna see right here is your length. You're not gonna wanna cut that piece at all because that's your length. But right here you have this little point. If you actually just go up and just scissor into that a little bit, what that's gonna do is gonna take that weight off here and it's gonna add a little bit of layer to your bangs. So especially if you have thick hair and you don't want that super blunt look, that's just gonna soften them a little bit. And I always do the motion called point cutting, which is cutting into the hair, because you do not want to have like lines coming in here. And I might just do just a tiny bit here. Another thing you can do, and again, I know this is going to be more complicated, but for those of you who are hairdressers and just wanting to learn different technique, you can also just kind of like slide your scissors through and barely open and close them. And this is just going to give you a little extra texture. Now don't be going and doing this and cutting all your hair off and then telling me you cut your bangs off. I'm saying this is only for people who kind of are a little more confident in what they're doing. Alright, so let me take my hair down. I'm gonna go brush off my face really quick and I'll be right back. Okay, once you're done with all that, you can let your hair down. Make sure it blends. If you have any weird little pieces that are on the side, you can just go ahead and snip those. If you want it to be more straight across, of course, you could just finish this off right here and cut those a little more straighter. I like it to blend into my hair just a little bit, so that's why I leave it like that. And basically, that is how you can cut your own and trim your own bangs. Of course, different styles are gonna vary, whether you want them shorter or longer. This is going to give you a basic technique you can use. If you have any more questions about these, feel free to ask me. I hope this was helpful for you, and please be careful when cutting your bangs, be safe, and that's all. Okay, bye.